Okay, I'm such a teen pretty girl. You'll never see me making silly faces on Instagram or Snapchat. But oh man, I don't even know. I could just like stick my tongue out real cute for you, but like that's about all you're getting at. My name is Mohammed Fayaz, and I go by the name of PapiJuice, and I'm an illustrator and an organizer of PapiJuice. So I've been drawing my whole life since I was a kid, and I never started taking it more seriously until the last few years, where I realized like this thing that I do, this hobby that I have on the side, doesn't have to be just a hobby on the side. It could be like my real thing. And the more time I spent on it, the more I realized that it was my real thing. And my work features mostly queer and trans people of color, just kind of showing us in our everyday lives things that you don't really see often, things that you don't see in media ever, really, I feel. More and more lately, but you'll be hard pressed to find images of us loving on each other, caring for one another, even hurting from one another, you know, like these real stories from our lives that we don't really get to see too often. And I'm living it, and I'm watching my community live through it. I'm watching my friends and found family live through it, and so it's really important for me to tell these stories. So my first time ever showing work within a museum, and it was at this huge museum in Boston. So I got invited to the a friend of a friend was doing a show at the Boston Institute of Contemporary Arts, and like through just like this huge network that I know, I got invited to be a part of a show within the show, and they paid for everything. And I'll never forget the feeling of like going up in the elevator, knowing that my work was gonna be behind those doors, and like entering the gallery and seeing my work in this museum. Like it was just so validating and so inspiring to myself. I felt like, and to see work that I had done months ago, but just on the walls, felt really beautiful. And like to realize that like this thing that I'm trying to do is like a valid thing that I should keep on doing. I can't go like a few days without doing it. And if I'm too busy with other stuff, or if I'm too busy like going out too much, then I start to get really restless. I can't wait to just like work on my stuff again. Right now I'm working on, so I had a Kickstarter in the summertime, and it got funded, and it was like an art club. So I was gonna send just like packages of like stickers, postcards, little notepads, cute little things for people to be able to interact with my art on a level that was more relevant than just online or just liking a photo on Instagram. Especially with my art, I feel like it really, people really relate to it, just showcasing like people of color. And to be able to see that on like your backpack, or like on a magnet on your fridge, or even like sending a postcard to your friend, I think it was really important. So that's my biggest project right now. And other passions are just like community building with like relationships, super micro, just like talking to people, getting to know people, finding out what's on their mind. That's really important to me. Community, so it's funny, this year I learned a lot about community as like a buzzword, right? Where it's this really great concept of things of like-minded people who are in like a similar struggle, going through the same things, and who maybe want to build together and like collaborate and have like a coalition of sorts. But earlier this year I just kind of realized that like maybe we're not there yet as queer people of color. Like we need to be a little bit sweeter to each other, we need to be nicer to each other. I think love needs to be like infused into a lot more of our interactions than it is now. And so for a community that I'm interested in, so I work in nightlife for this party that I throw called PapiJuice with 3 of my friends. Just like an intentional space for queer and trans people of color. And for me, that's a really beautiful community to like honor our music, our cultures, to like create spaces for us that are not necessarily safe because it's nightlife still, but definitely intentional, where we're all gonna come together to do this thing. And a big part of that is also like paying DJs well. We have female guest DJs, or just like women who come to our party, where they're not getting booked at other parties or other venues in the city because no one's hiring them in Chelsea. No one wants to hear their music in Hell's Kitchen, or even in places in Brooklyn and Williamsburg or whatever. Like that kind of life isn't really real. And there's so many of us out here, like QPOC, who are trying to like find each other and like build together. And so for me, that's what PapiJuice is really important, because like we can really create the space to uplift one another. And so that's really important to me.